Hello viewer, I am Noblevegas, and this is Crusader Kings III, and we are on the Unite Africa campaign. We are very early in the campaign, it's only 873 AD. We have already had two wars in which we have started as the Chief of Bassa. We have conquered the county of Nuon, and I was not paying attention when I made my selections, and so we actually conquered Wenyan instead of Man, so we did not completely unite the duchy, but we do have the duchy title anyway for having 2/3 of the territories. So our next step, we're actually going to work against Grebo here to create the duchy of Wenyan once we have the finances for that. So we have low county control in Wenyan, we know that. We just conquered it. That's not a surprise at all. We were just looking at options to betroth our daughter, Gorpue, who is 9 years old. We were looking at trying to unite with Ghana so that we could basically keep them out of our conquest and just kind of keep them off to the side, but we're not a big enough title just yet, and our plans are to eventually work our way towards the title for the Kingdom of Guinea. That should help get us a lot closer at that point. And so to continue that on, the next county we're going to conquer here is Grebo. So we're going to let our time begin progressing, because we only have about half the troops we need to continue on. We can still take Grebo with only 430 troops, but we still would like the troops to replenish. We apparently have become the culture head of the crew culture. And so we're going to look at innovations, currently working on mustering grounds and public works. Mustering grounds increases the size of men-at-arms regiments, which would be a nice one to have. And public works increases county development. It extends the maximum existing development penalty to 20. Well, because we're tribal, we don't really need to focus on that right now. And so we'll stick with the mustering grounds, as that allows us a little extra in the way of troops for future conquests, because things are a little bit more difficult as everybody tries to consolidate titles. Alright, now we have Solitude in the Great Hall. My daughter, Gorpue, seems to have been having a difficult time at our latest feast. She slipped underneath one of the tables and there hid from people for the entire meal. So we can keep the trait shy, or for a bit of stress we can go with impatient or gluttonous. Neither of those are really great to have. She's also not our heir, so we shouldn't invest too much into her. We'll allow her to keep the trait shy. Alright, continuing on, we're now up to 1230. I think that should be plenty in order to declare our war. We're going to conquer the county of Grebo. Now we won't be able to keep this very long because it will put us over our domain holdings limit, but it'll allow us to hold on to it long enough that once we have the money for it, we should be able to create the next title for the Duchy of Wenyan. So we're going to start that off. We're going to raise all of our armies, allow them to build up, and then move right on in. And at 1258 to 430, this should be a pretty quick campaign. As you can see, the numbers whittling down over into a victory, and the siege commences. While this goes on, we have lost our court physician. So we have a new shaman who does endorse us, and so not employing a court physician. Our new shaman is actually average, likes us well enough. He is traveling at the moment, but has amazing stats, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 72 points. Not bad for a guy at 48 years old. So we're going to appoint him, and then we're immediately going to see if we can... No one in our court can be educated, because currently our son, we are educating him, but if we can get some better stats out of it. So we will remove the guardian. We'll go to our new shaman and educate where is our son? Alright, try this again. Going to our son here. And educate child. Change guardian. There we go. Okay. We got there. Alright, so we will allow them to educate the child. And that should allow him, with him being 1, that'll allow stats to come up quicker. And allow that to begin. And we now have a lifestyle learning. So when we last looked, we had anatomical studies for whole of body, which is court physician treatments have better outcomes and cost less to hire. We had planned cultivation, which increases development. We'll have to select that one eventually. And then we have clergy opinion plus 10. But the next one here would be different faith opinions plus 15. And faith conversion cost drops 75%. That would be something great to have as we move forward, because we will eventually start conquering places that don't have the same faith as we do. So we'll go ahead and take that one and unlock that in preparation, because right now our faith is all under the Akram faith, but we will be moving eventually into Seguic here just to the north of us. We are being raided. Okay, so we are going to station enough besiegers to continue. Take our higher quality. What would that do for us? Even outcome. They have a better commander and more soldiers, but we have defending in the jungle, defensive buildings, and higher quality. The chances are pretty even. Let's give it a whirl and see what happens. Our numbers are not great for us, but that better quality usually comes into play, and so we might be able to get something out of it, especially since they just took off with our coin. And immediately we are seeing advantage. Oh, yeah, we are seeing the advantage as we have conquered them. Alright, our wife is now pregnant, and we are now being raided from somebody else. So we will immediately continue and report to them. But we have captured our loot back, so we get to keep that, and it also gives us a small prestige amount. And so now it is time to affect the other one. This one should go pretty easy since we were outnumbered on that one and still did well. Our quality may be lower, but it looks like we have a pretty good decisive win there. It looks like they're going to flee anyway, but we beat them to it. Our siege has now completed. Nobody that we can ransom first, so we will enforce the demands, take on that final run. And what we could actually do for now is give away Nuon if we choose. We eventually want to give away Grebo. It will still be under our domain, and so we should still be able to create that title. Right now we are a little short on gold to be able to create that title. We need 125, we only have 58. Continuing, so we have now fought them off. We will allow them to return back so that we can then disband all of our troops. So we have that available for us. Captured 7 coin worth of loot from Nana Armagh, so that gets us closer. Fantastic, thank you. And I think what we're about to do next is once we have them in there, we're going to merge. We're going to turn them over into raiders and take a look around. There are a few territories that we can raid. 711 to our 1242. I think that'll be the first place that we go. And so let's raid for a few coins and see if we can't earn that title a little bit faster. Alright, so Crawi we need to grant to someone else. And so Yarpawolo is actually a obscure house, but a house that's available instead of being lowborn. We also have our player heir that we could give it to. We'll get it back later and have to do something else with it. We also wouldn't have control over them as far as marriage and items like that, so I think we are going to give it to our commander and champion, Yarpawolo Bakwe. They're really going to like us for it, which will bring us up. That will give us a powerful vassal. Thankfully, he's already on the council. So he has now become our vassal. And we will put him in as, I thought, oh, he was a commander. I misread that. All right, so we will put him in as our marshal. And we're not employing a wet nurse. We should probably be doing that. We would have to search for a wet nurse because we do not have one. We will wait for now. I'm sure there's an advantage to having a wet nurse, but I don't see it at the moment. So we will allow that to pass, and we will continue on as our troops begin marching in for a little bit of raiding. In this location, there's 19 loot, and that would currently bring us up to 85. We have twins. Oh, my Utla, you have been so brave, so strong. Words cannot describe my love for you, and now we have two perfect little children. Who will you become, my dears, and what shall I call you? So we have Mayupla Bassa, our daughter, and Crayuple Bassa, our son. So we're going to let those go in now. What we're going to do now, however, is we will no longer create the title of Wenyan, because to create the duchy title, we'll get two equal titles that would split between both of our sons, and that would end up splitting our country here, and we don't want to do that. So for now, we're going to hold off on creating that title until we can create the Kingdom of Guinea title. So I'll allow things to progress and continue. Alright, we're finished raiding there, it looks like. We will move next to Goma, which has another 19. We can ransom. Always fun to ransom folks for money. Just quick cash. Hey, we grabbed your kid, and now you're going to pay us back for it. Gain a level of devotion. We are now at faithful, which is a step up from dutiful. So we're working pretty quickly there. All right, next up, we have Jamana of Konyan, so we'll go ahead and go there. Troops are also very low. We'll probably swing around to Mao. That's going to get us a pretty decent number at this point. I guess that's 19, so we have 38, I believe. Quite satisfied. My daughter, Garpue, has been asking me for a wooden sword for a long time, and I told her I would get one for her in 3 months if she displayed more focus in her studies. She responded that she was fine with her current dedication to her studies, reward or no reward. We all learn a lot in life. We can gain the trait, or keeps the trait content. We can change that to fickle or trusting for some stress. But again, because she is our daughter and not an heir, we'll just let her stay with content. We also do need to revisit on finding a spouse. And let's move out with Kong. That's a pretty good distance away. And I don't believe Kong is part of the Empire of Guinea. It is part of the Empire of Guinea title. That would create some problems down the road. How about the Duchy of Casa? That one is not. That is in the Empire of Mali. So that would actually be a very good one to have. He is a little bit older, though. She's only 11. It'd take 5 years. He'd be 45 before he started having kids. As long as he stayed alive that long. If not, we could create a new title afterward. So we're going to send him off and create that connection for ourselves. And our wife is yet again pregnant. To the thoughtful Crontahin Dirhu of Bassa, I gladly accept your betrothal proposition. I will graciously take the hand of your daughter Garpue when the time comes. That has now formed an alliance with us, adding an extra 956 troops to the rolls. Or is that's just theirs at 740 to the rolls. You had both of ours together. All right, excellent. Continuing on, zoom back in, and we are working towards, have we sieged? Looks like we have sieged. Alright, moving on to Mao. Whoops, we were paused there. Alright, allow that to continue. continue. Prisoners can be ransomed. So we begin ransoming each of those. Alright, ransoms have been accepted there. We actually now have enough to create that title, even though we're not going to. We will finish the last of our looting here, and we will return back to our territory. A new one has finished their build, so we're going to start another one. What, why, and how? There's never a quiet moment. My son and heir, Asoy Tepo, is so full of questions. I do my best to encourage his curiosity, but sometimes I cannot help but get exhausted by the constant stream of thoughts and queries. Gains the trait Curious, which adds diplomacy, learning, and the learn language power scheme is boosted by 50%. That's not a bad one to have. Alright, war camps we could add. That would station heavy infantry, cause damage and toughness for heavy infantry, skirmishers, and archer cavalry. The holder of the holding gets an extra knight, and their effectiveness is by 10%, which is one I very much enjoy having. And so since new one is inland, we don't need to worry about ports and trading. We could do markets. We're going to go ahead and select that for our construction. Next we look at Wenyan. We already have markets there. We do have palisades that we'll begin constructing once our troops return. A few champions. Exchange hostages. Again, not employing a wet nurse, we understand that. And Yuan is 28%. One of our acquaintances has died in our dungeons. A gem in the rough. During one of our lessons in my daughter Gorpe's chambers, I noticed a collection of rocks neatly displayed on a shelf. One of the stones stand out in the collection. It is quite rough, but upon closer inspection there is a deeply red, brilliant hue contained within. She notices my interest, picks it up, and hands it over. You can have it, father. We gain the modest gemstone, or you should study that one. A little bit of stress gain, but it'll greatly further their learning education focus, and gain 15 opinion. Again, because they're not our heir, we aren't going to invest much. We get +1 learning, and 0.02 prestige per month. Oh, thank you. So we will now add that to our collection, which we have done there. Alright, good. So we'll close that. Secrets of Nature. My shaman Siako is a skilled herbalist, knowledgeable about healing and harmful plants alike. At more than one occasion he has offered to share his expertise with me. I am always eager to learn something new. You gain the trait Herbalist and 50 learning lifestyle points. Herbalist gives you +2 intrigue, +2 learning, a medium health boost, and a knight attrition in the jungle, commander attrition in the jungle of 50% less. You can plant a garden of sacred herbs for 100 piety. A rare flower would brighten Mayupla's day. Gaining 20 opinion from our wife and lover. Or I don't have time to muck around with dirt and plants. You gain 50 points, but you lose. So we don't really need the piety at 500. We're doing pretty well, and we're pretty far off from devoted servant. So I think we're going to take herbalist for that boost, gaining intrigue, learning, medium boost, and commander attrition taken will decrease. Great thing to have when you're fighting in the jungles. Alright, we have returned back with 52 gold and 52 prestige. We will now disband that army because they are not needed anymore and allow our troop numbers to return. From here, I believe we'll probably work our way up the coast this way. I think that's a better alternative than moving further south right now. One thing that we want to do is to still centralize on the Kingdom of Guinea. We can move inland, but that puts us a little too close to Mauling. Now, granted, going up this coast will do the same. I guess we could work to our eastern borders first to consolidate, and then work our way west and north to finish that off. We'll have a little bit of difficulty eventually as we continue on. So we have the Chiefdom of Bassa would be a target, 741 soldiers, or the Germana of Gola at 868 soldiers. We want to check, so if we went this way, we'd have to worry about conversion because of Siguism. We'd also have to worry about different cultures. So perhaps we work on uniting the crew culture first and keep within the Akum or Akam religion. So I think our next target is going to be Babu. And just because they're a higher number in soldiers, and so we want to take out the bigger threat first that we can answer more easily. Now we can do this one of two ways. We can do this as subjugation, which they would keep their titles, they would just become a vassal, which would give us both at the same time, and we wouldn't have to worry about reorganizing our domain holdings. We would just hold that under our title. The problem is, yeah, cost 500 prestige, we only have 304. So if we went by county, looks like Chiefdom of Crew would be our first option. So I think that's the direction we're going to go in. So we will declare war. They have no allies, 745 for their numbers, out of a potential maximum of 745. So they're already at their max. And if we remove our ally count of 1144, that's still 1133. And that'll be the direction that we go. So let's declare war on them. We will move our flag here, and then raise all of our men-at-arms, or raise all here, and we actually want to try and head them off first, make sure that they can't run away. Better to take care of the troop numbers now, than have to worry about it later, especially if they're able to pull in allies. More twins. A son and a daughter again, Lami and Tarlo. May you grow strong and wise. So now that we have 3 sons, our heir's conquest is going to, or our heir's inheritance is going to be greatly reduced as far as county count. But since we're being very aggressive, I don't think that'll be difficult. All right, we have completed our battle, and now we are simply just waiting on the siege to commence, or the siege to complete. Dangerous faction has military power. Alright, we already, again, we know the 3 here. We're going to go ahead and take Plant Cultivation. It doesn't give us any advantage, but it will allow us to eventually finish the Scholar run. So while we wait for that siege to commence, or to finish, sorry, I don't know why I keep saying commence. While we wait for this siege to finish, okay, they've come back for another battle. And we now have Peekaboo. I can hear it echoing down the corridor. Light giggles, occasional breaking out into full peals of laughter. As around the corner the culprits are revealed. Corpue, with judging by the discarded books strewn across the table, her studies very much abandoned, has her brother Lami clutched in her arms. The baby burbles happily as Corpue peeks through her fingers at him, the two of them giggling happily. Oh good, stress reduction. I don't think we really need to put any stress. We'll take the stress reduction and let them have some fun. Alright, the second battle is complete. Our siege continues with 4 months left. Quickly coming to a close here. We could probably also eventually start looking for an heir for our oldest son. That way he can start preparing that role for it. We're not going to exchange hostages. We're not going to create the duchy for now. We don't need to call our allies. We do need to check the dangerous faction. Alright, there is the completion. So we will enforce those demands, take over that territory, and gain our legitimacy. We will be over our domain limit. We will fix that in the next episode, but for now we're going to put in a cut here. Thank you again for watching. 3 episodes in, we have grown our territory of Bassa as a duchy now across a fair number of counties here. If you have any ideas or suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and have a great day. We'll see you in the next video.